everyone, Abby here to bring you a little bit of value as you start or continue your jiu-jitsu journey. And I'm here assisted by my little puppy dog, Nina. I just rescued her, and Messie's over there passed out. Anyway, back to what we were saying. So I'm going to be talking today about what to do when you have lost motivation, or you might have hit a slump to where you just don't feel like training anymore, maybe due to injuries, just due to feeling like you're not going anywhere, you're not progressing. This is super normal for your jiu-jitsu journey, and it's not going to end, and so we have to find ways to work through it. So I'm going to give you a few steps to help you work through the lack of motivation. First of all, like I said, it happens to everyone. There is a point in time where you don't always feel motivated to go to jiu-jitsu, to do your rolling sessions, and so you have to set up some steps to help make sure that you're not going to quit on yourself just because the feeling has changed, right? So the first thing that I would suggest anybody to do is find a source of accountability. For me, obviously it helps that I have a spouse that holds me accountable as to when I'm training, but I also make sure to communicate to my instructor on a regular basis. If you have that connection with your instructor, I highly recommend that you share, hey, I have lost motivation, but I'm gonna be trying to come 3 to 4 days this week, and I'll let you know which days. And so if you let them know which days, you're holding yourself accountable in a public manner to them, knowing that you also have to follow through with what you said. That's something that's helped me a lot as I continued and as I got closer to my instructors, depending on the school I was in. So my school recently and then my previous school, I was really close to my instructors, and I would tell them specific days that I was training. And normally if something happened in between, they would also know why I wasn't there. The second thing is make sure that you have a system down. So for example, if you know that you're not motivated for any reason, break it down. Is it just because you've been overtraining? For me, I trained so much recently that I got burnt out and I started to not like jiu-jitsu, and it was just because I was putting so much into it 24/7 that I needed to put on the brakes. That was something that was healthy for me. So know that point of rest, when you need to take a step back and rest. And I was still going to the gym, but I was easing up, right? And I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu for about a week. Then understand that the rest is there and now it's in place, but then that routine has to also be in place. So if you're gonna rest, how often, how many days are rest days, and how many are gonna be your set days? For me, I usually make myself have a minimum, like I've said before, of 3 days. If it's a low season where I'm just struggling, 3 days. Most of the time, I would say that I train about 5 days a week. But that's something that I really enjoy and like. It's something that I know I can do. It can vary for anybody, right? Depending on their lifestyle, their schedule, and whatnot. So have that understanding of when you're going to rest and make it intentional, just as much as making your routine intentional, having those non-negotiable days no matter what, because feelings do change, so you want to have that routine in place. So know that point of rest, when you need to take a step back and rest. And I was still going to the gym, but I was easing up, right? And I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu for about a week. Then understand that the rest is there and now it's in place, but then that routine has to also be in place. So if you're gonna rest, how often, how many days are rest days, and how many are gonna be your set days? For me, I usually make myself have a minimum, like I've said before, of 3 days. If it's a low season where I'm just struggling, 3 days. Most of the time, I would say that I train about 5 days a week. But that's something that I really enjoy and like. It's something that I know I can do. It can vary for anybody, right? Depending on their lifestyle, their schedule, and whatnot. So have that understanding of when you're going to rest and make it intentional, just as much as making your routine intentional, having those non-negotiable days no matter what, because feelings do change, so you want to have that routine in place. The next thing that I'm going to share is going back to the basics. So a lot of times when you're starting off, there can be just so much information at once that you end up feeling like you're horrible at everything, nothing's sticking, and you're just surviving constantly. Everybody has been there. you know, you will still have moments where you're there. When you start hitting another point of growth, people above you are going to start to smash you. It's just the way of jiu-jitsu, which makes it beautiful, but it also makes it a challenge, and you have to be able to mentally work through that challenge. So refocus on the basics at that point. When I say refocus on the basics, just go back to 1 or 2 things that you know you can do well and just focus on that. So for example, if you're just now learning how to mount and put really good pressure, go back to just mounting, putting really good pressure, and then trying to find that submission, right? Or not losing it once you hit it. If you hit a side control position, work on just maintaining a really solid side control, and then you'll find your submission once you know how to handle that position in a really, really strong way where you're closing out any opportunity for the other opponent. And so when you can go back to the basics, that will help you build off. If you're constantly just trying to learn the next new thing or the next thing in class and you're kind of forgetting about the very basics, it's going to create a lot of small little holes in your game, which is going to be harder to fill later on because of bad habits. So if you're overwhelmed, if that's what's causing you to lose motivation because you're not good at anything or you're going to feel that way, just say, okay, what can I do? What's something that I can do right now that's going to solidify my position, being able to, you know, pass this person, submit this person, and don't bite off more than you can chew. Just start simple, right? And sometimes it's easier said than done because there's so much happening. People are trying to teach you a lot of things. Keep it simple. And the last thing I'm going to say is to take action on the lack of motivation. If you're just allowing yourself to not be motivated or take off so many weeks or give yourself excuses as to why, obviously if it's a serious injury, that's one thing. But if you're just stressed and overwhelmed with life, that's more of a reason than ever than you should go. If you feel like you're doing a horrible job, that's more of a reason for you to show up and go. And I say that because mentally you're gonna wanna just kind of drop off for a little bit or say, you know what, I'm just going through a slump. I'll come back in a little bit, you know, feeling better. Sometimes that's the case if you're working and training a lot, but if you're training 3 to 4 days a week, you have to keep showing up. And you will have that breakthrough, you will find that motivation again. But the biggest thing it comes down to is your drive and discipline. And that's honestly what one of the biggest foundations of jiu-jitsu is built on. And so if you find yourself losing motivation, welcome to reality. That's everybody. The beauty of this sport specifically is that the more that you show up, the more that you put in that time and effort and practice, the more you're gonna find yourself disciplined, driven to show up, knowing that it's not gonna be a matter of just a choice. It's gonna be, it's happening. This is part of my plan, this is part of my life. I'm gonna go see people, it's gonna be a good time. And you will find yourself, yes, having moments of feeling drained, but you're gonna have so many more moments of winning. So I hope that was helpful. Feelings come and go, motivation comes and goes. Find the routine, find the accountability, find that resting point where you do need to find, you know, moments to just rest or take a week off. I had to take a week, but don't allow yourself to fall off for weeks and months at a time and not come back, all because that feeling came and you didn't know what to do with it. So I hope that was helpful. Like I said, you're not in it alone. We all go through this. You're gonna go through this for the rest of your life. It's all a matter of just creating good habits and then sustaining them. If you have any questions, make sure to write them down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I know Mina would love to have more of you guys come and look at the videos, and I would too. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye.